Hello everyone, it's Sam and Fee here, and we are back with another Community Matters interview. This week we're joined by Kath and Jenna, and I'm really excited about this. They've got a fantastic community set up in the southeast Somerset and northwest Devon area. I think rather than me sort of introduce it, I think you ladies can probably do that a little bit better than I can. So yeah, if you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you're doing down there, it'd be great.
Shall I go first? Hi, you go first, Kath. Hey, I'm Kath, and I set up the Sherborne Dorset stand in the park in March of last year, and I found that Jenna was ahead of me, and I just set up the week before in Yeovil, and we used to work together. Funnily enough, a few years ago, we worked in the same place, so it was quite funny. Sherborne have got one. It's Kath. That's great. So we already had a really nice connection. We did, and then from that, we started to grow and think about what we really wanted to do as a community, this new community that was forming with the connections with each other and the broader southwest area we're in. And that's how Camelot Connect, it's our official organisation, broadly came to be.
The two groups started getting together, so people from Sherborne would come over to you, people from yours would come over to mine. And there was a meeting in, I wrote this down, I remember, June of last year at a lady's house, just to look at a way going forward and what that might be. And it's really evolved from that, hasn't it? It's become much more
sort of our first community meeting, if you like. And
we have monthly meetings from that, and then it's become more sort of structured, and you probably would like to talk more about those meetings we had, which were setting out a constitution of it.
We had a lot of meetings setting out a constitution back in sort of February, March of this year. So I think by April time-ish is when we officially launched. So we're quite a baby organisation still, really. Still lots of people left to join. I mean, we've got a couple of hundred people, I think, just tagged in from the sort of Yeovil stands over time, and then obviously not that many just yet being members of Camelot Connect, because we're all waiting to see where it goes as well. So there's lots of layers. There's kind of the broader community, and then this very official private members organisation, and both of them sort of bridge.
They're the same, aren't they, really?
And also these other groups. So we've got Home Ed group, Food Growers groups, Law and Order groups, dealing with common law, Preppers group, big group these days. So there's all of those particular niche areas, action groups that are tied in, that existed before Camelot Connect, but are very much the focus of admins within Camelot Connect.
And they're part of our community, so it was loosely Lions for Liberty, which is what you set up, wasn't it? And that's kind of expanded to include the other stands like Sherborne, Shaftesbury. I think people do come up from Bridport and Dorchester, and like you say, come down from Glastonbury Street, and all of that. And it's just roughly, there is a hill locally in between us, really, Yeovil and Sherborne.
This is why it's Camelot.
And it's Cadbury Castle, which is an old hill fort, and that the legend is that King Arthur sleeps and awakes every Midsummer's Eve, and is kind of up there with his knights. So it's pretty much halfway between Somerset, Yeovil and Sherborne, Dorset, and our community group is sort of in a radius roughly 20 miles around that area. So that includes various stands and groups in Somerset and Dorset. I think it's considered that anybody further away would probably set up their own community, because it's about keeping it local.
The idea, if you're a little bit beyond that catchment, then we wouldn't be, no, you can't come with us. But we would very much encourage people to start something of their own and connect with us if it doesn't already exist, or hopefully we can point them in the direction of something that does already exist in their local area that we are already connected to.
And what's is that there's skills. So different people, there are people that are really expert on, you know, setting up allotments and are talking about a community allotment and things like that.
Yeah.
And they can kind of form a subgroup, and people can dip in and out of it if they want. But you can each do what your thing is that you're good at, what your
Your
forte
strengths,
is.
your
Yes,
interests.
and it really is a community. It's local. We've also got like a little marketplace online, haven't we, where people can swap or sell things to each other and things like that.
Yeah.
So very local, very looked after. There are wellbeing people on the admin, which we're both part of.
Yes.
Just so somebody's got a contact if they're struggling, because one of the biggest things is isolation, isn't it? You know,
huge thing. That was probably, you had the same experience with the Sherborne stands, the amount of people that turned up, and there was just this huge outpouring of emotion, and it was real catharsis that they found people. Like,
I think that's, it's a story we hear quite a lot, literally all over the country and all over the world. Was, you know, particularly right back at the beginning, it was so isolating to kind of see and feel and believe what we do, and you know, obviously in the wider community, that's, you know, so to find those like-minded people and make those connections is kind of, it's been a blessing for all of us, myself included, absolutely. And I think, you know, the beautiful thing about what you're doing is it's really putting those sort of more organized, you know, building blocks in place to really kind of take it a step further. Yes, we're all coming together, we're all individuals, we've all got these, you know, amazing things to offer, you know, individual skills and attributes that we can all contribute something to building a new community. And the fact that what you've done is really kind of, you know, set that out in a much more kind of organized and inclusive way, I just think is brilliant.
It's a real community effort. So for me personally, I don't know about you, Jen, I wouldn't have been able to set up a community. So it's the people that made those connections going between the stands.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I've done lots of admin and chairing meetings.
Huge amounts of the behind the scenes.
Oh, don't talk to me about it. Yeah, we know about the admin.
You need people who have those skill sets as much as set this
do.
a food grower, you know, really, and a healer. But we have a lot of all of those, thankfully, and that's been wonderful to meet all these people and go, wow, we already have the teachers that, you know, we might need for the home education groups. We've got loads of people, obviously lots of people grow, like growing food, like gardening, but we've got incredibly skilled people in that area. A lady called Rima, I'd like to, she watches this, she's been brilliant, absolutely spearheaded. And Ed, I will definitely mention from the admin things he does, basically. He's, you've obviously spoken to him, and he's really, really thorough and brilliant at that, I think, in a way that other people would just go, oh God, I really don't want to do that, it's my headache. So
isn't it? We've talked a lot about this, obviously, and this is why we decided to do this series, because we were focusing so much on what's coming out of the stands and building the communities, the sort of direction that we're all going, that we need to go. And it's in true community, there isn't anyone who feels useless or they can't contribute, or they're, you know, every single person has got something. And usually it's something unique to them. There'll be some little specific thing that only they have, and it might not even be like a definable talent necessarily. It's just something in them that they bring, and this is what we've missed so much. You know, we are just
make it
anything, you know, everybody's there, and it is amazing how many people are really skilled at things. Like you say, a lot of people like to grow food. Sam and I are on our little gardening journeys and really
my jungle garden of potatoes behind me.
Amazing, aren't they?
But you know,
I can't believe me too.
But then you've got those people that you've got those people that actually really know their stuff, and that extends to every kind of area. And you're only finding this out when you're making those connections, you're bringing people together, you're pooling your resources and skills, and it's so empowering because you realize, hang on a minute, there's so much we can do, there's so much that we can be independent of the system, but because we've been caught in this trap, you know, on that hamster wheel for so long, it's just forgotten. And it's only when you get together and the energy from it is yeah, it really is. And it keeps growing, doesn't it? It attracts people to you, people want to be a part of it, and that's something that's really infectious and spreads. And we are seeing it now. We're speaking to a lot of people who are doing similar things, you know, and they're the light bearers. You know, we had a quick chat before we came on, didn't we, and was saying that people like you make it so much easier for the rest of us to follow, because a lot of people wouldn't have a clue where to begin, but when they've got a blueprint or a framework, it can just
helps, doesn't it? And that's thanks to people like you. So
yes.
Thank you.
We're all playing our part. So
yeah, as we've said, you know, we've all got something to offer and we can all play our part, and it's all very different, but yeah, we all sort of inspire and empower each other, and it is incredible. I alluded to your website, I think, but yeah, you've got a fantastic website, which we'll put the link in sort of the description of the video so people can visit it and sort of, you know, have a look at what you're doing. There's some great information on there and a lot of really good links to you know, other communities, other organizations, other areas. You've got links with peacekeepers. I noticed you've got the peacekeepers training on there. We had a lovely chat with Steve from Peacekeepers a few weeks ago. So that's the law covered. You've talked about the preparation of food growing, education, health. Is there anything else that's sort of not mentioned that you've got admin? I mean, you know, that's pretty comprehensive.
Social. There's a lady who set up a coffee and a chat group, which happens every
Perfect. Always need.
That's Michelle. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle.
She's also working on an exchange thing, isn't she? I don't know
Skills
much about it.
exchange. Yeah, so trying to find a way of formally structuring some kind of swapping of people's skills within the structure of Camelot Connect. So more than just oh, you know, I'll do this, you do that for me, something that within that organization is a bit more defined and protected, so that people have it very much laid out. I mean, it sounds almost very formal, but within the sense of what we're trying to do, I think it's probably necessary to have this kind of equivalency for exchange. So instead of I'm a big let's get rid of currencies. I always think as soon as you have a separate currency, then you've got this situation of disproportionate wealth, because we decide that that's more important than this, and that's not fair. So it was very much built around hours, parcels of hours of a person's time. So it doesn't matter what your skill is, that constitutes 1 unit, 1 hour, that kind of thing.
That's a brilliant concept.
A way of feeding into the community. But
so that's good. And what else did we have? Meditation.
You can imagine there's a lot of healers, alternative health practitioners,
and there is
an abundance of that. Crystal Reiki.
So we've got,
and that in itself is coming into the fore as well, isn't it? This, I mean, people would call it alternative health, but it's, you know, it's old school, isn't it? It's traditional, you know, it's where the origins of sort of everything came from, and it is wonderful to see that. It's wonderful to see that happening.
We had a lady called Danny who actually designed our logo, so thank you to Danny for that.
I want to say thank you to Danny for the Camelot Connect logo, and thank you to Pete, who's my partner, actually, for doing the website. And he's not a web designer either. So
well, that is extra impressive then.
He's done such a good job, but he learned as well as he went along to produce that for us. So it's another example of having a bit of a skill and then really learning and expanding and using that for us. So yes, sorry.
I think that's common as well. I think over the last couple of years, we are all finding, you know, that there may be things we know a bit about, but we're all learning so much. And there is that thing that comes with when you connect with your community and you talk to each other, you learn from each other, you find where your passion is, you'll find these new skills that you perhaps you didn't even know you had. And I think it's pushing us all into this place of getting to know ourselves better, getting to know each other better, and being able to really push ourselves out of our comfort zone and doing things that we, you know, perhaps never even dreamed we would be doing. And it's just another thing I just find absolutely amazing. I've yeah, my
power lies, isn't it, in knowing ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a very it feels very expansive, all of this what we're moving into, because we are moving out of those comfort zones, and it's kind of out of necessity, but it's because we're all there to support each other, and you've got such an amazing goal in mind. It's not actually uncomfortable in that sense. It's actually quite exciting, and especially when we're looking at living in ways that actually just nourish us and feed us. And I'm always banging on about energy, but it's the only way I can kind of explain it is I feel it as I'm talking about it. You just have that sense of just being aligned, I guess. It's something that feels very natural.
We had a lovely social, didn't we, at Jason and Nancy's camping.
Again, very lucky that we've got a couple who have a campsite, basically.
That is very lucky.
Campers, wow.
And they're wonderful people.
And I think that was a really healing, connecting thing. I think it's just really positive to get together socially as well. We've got
it's been a big move towards that. So initially there was very much that finding people, the emotional outpouring of suddenly having connections and having people like you. And we've got, and then it kind of moved into like we've got to prep, we've got to make sure we're focusing. That's still going on. Don't get me wrong. But very much like how are we going to grow food? How are we going to survive? How are we going to get through the next few years? And then everyone feeling a little bit like, you know, we really need more of the social, more of the friendly coffee, cake,
we've got everything really.
Do that side of things too. So it's kind of that balance.
Balance is one of our favourite words, isn't it, Fee? We talk about that a lot too.
That's all we talk about, but it's true, isn't it? You've got to have that balance, because otherwise, you know, it's just too draining. If you're overly focused on any one area, it's just something else is lacking there. And I think, again, we've seen this within the society as we know it, completely unbalanced, focused on all the wrong things, and everyone's just crying out for some harmony and just to be again nourished on all the levels that we need. And that's what I'm seeing, like in all of these different community projects, it's coming at everything from that. It's very holistic and very centered. It's amazing, and it just shows that's in alignment with who we are and what we need, because so many people are drawn to it, and it's fantastic, and it's so lovely that this has come out of the stands, you know, like we were saying. We never had, when Brady started the whole thing in Australia, and then I started it over here, we never had an end goal, or, you know, we never said this is what it's for. It really was just, we're there to stand in freedom and truth, come together. And for me, it was always just get the people together and we'll see what happens then. That's what we have to do. And it's just been incredible to see just the amount of things, the initiatives, and just and the friendship, the support, the actual community that's come about just by people getting together physically.
Because we also had quite a lot of yellow board activity. I know Dorchester, I went down to one time, had the yellow boards by the roadside. And we've got Barbara.
That's
and
another
Derek.
area, of course, the campaigns and social.
Yes.
So doing the outreach, how we're going to approach that. Derek and Barbara, fantastic.
And Leslie on
started
the
yellow
social.
boards. Yeah.
That's been just amazing.
And they're sort of taking a breather at the moment to rethink how we move forward with the yellow boards, because obviously things about lockdowns and jabs, most people will be like, well, we're free now, aren't we? So it's trying to focus on other things.
Yeah, we've just redeveloped all of ours at the moment to sort of try and, because there's so much like going on that it's very, very difficult to narrow that down to sort of a yellow board and kind of get that message across.
I'd love to know what you've put on yours. If you could share
I can send you I can send you an image of sort of our draft boards if you like after this. But yeah.
Cogitate some ideas at the moment, see what brews.
We put at Sherborne, we do the market every month, because we were in the park when that was happening. The lady offered us a pitch. So,
you have a fantastic tent and display thing. I love it. It looks fabulous.
It's a real community effort, and one guy organised getting a yellow board, which is like a dry whiteboard, so we can write a different question on it every week for the public to see, and just perhaps draw an interest in what we might be about. And we've had probably the best one ever just recently, and it's not floods of people, but the people that come in steadily to talk to us, and some of them are already aware and some of them aren't, it's kind of just really, really lovely. And it's again, it's very much a community thing. Different people have helped put up the gazebo, and different people come over from it's just been really.
And you get people coming up to just thank you when you're doing the stand in the park. So you've obviously got the amazing market at the park gazebo, but we often have a yellow flag, obviously the smiley flag, and a table and things like that. And you sometimes, I mean, obviously you get the odd person just yell something at you as they go past, but less of that probably than the positives. You get people who can't come to the stands for whatever reason, but they just come over to thank us for what we're doing.
Nice,
and people doing the yellow boards getting thanked for what they're doing. That's really
it's reassuring for people, I think, even if, like you say, they can't make it, or maybe they're just not in that place yet where they feel like
reason if their partner doesn't agree with them or things like that. Duck out for the rebels for a couple of hours, it's
they know we're here. That's the main thing. That's
isn't it?
Yeah, it's important.
Together, it's huge. It's much bigger.
I know.
Than I ever dreamed. Actually.
Yeah,
same.
Starting the oval stand, I thought, you know what, if I get 5 people, I'll be And then a few weeks in, we were hitting sort of 40, 50, and it's
amazing.
It's great.
All these years.
It just shows you how many of us there actually are. When I first I put my stand out there, it was the first UK stand officially, and I thought it's going to be me, my sister, and one friend who promised to come from another town. And I thought, that's great, that's all right, that's the start. Actually, there were 28 people, and I just couldn't believe that, especially where I was living at the time. I've moved since, beautiful place, but really Middle England, very straight down the line. I thought, God, if we managed to find a handful of other people, it will be a miracle. But there they were. And it's some of the stands that we've advertised are in the most obscure little places, dotted all around the British Isles. But I don't think there's one area of the country where there aren't awake people, however you want to term it. So get people connected even more it's very much something that Sam and I are focused on now. Is that we've made our own little tribes. We found them, but to grow it and grow it and grow it, which is obviously what you've been doing, so it's wonderful to hear.
We definitely want to connect in with as many other local groups as possible. So if there's anyone in the southwest area that doesn't know about us or the stands or Camelot Connect, then yeah, if they want to get in touch, please pop on the website, email the admin. We'd love to connect more and more.
It's really, really inspiring what you're doing. Just to sit, as I say, seeing those formal building blocks, you know, as you say, it's relatively new. You're still sort of, you know, baby and finding your way. But
really,
but what you have done already, you know, is incredible. And you know, I would hope that hopefully by putting this out there and hearing about what you're doing, that people in other areas, you know, if perhaps they haven't already, or they're thinking, you know, I want to do this, but how do I go about doing it? They can look at what you're doing and sort of gain that inspiration and that, you know, some ideas as to how to go about it. I mean, would you ladies be happy if people from, you know, other areas sort of want to email and chat to you and say, right, how do I do this? You know, would you be happy for people to get in touch and give advice? And
yeah. Do you think the best way for that would be the actual stand in the park emails that we have?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get all those from you, and we'll put those in the description. However's best to contact you, we'll put those in the description so people can get in touch. And you know, hopefully we can see these communities, you know, the more I mean, formal is such a kind of, you know, word. I don't want to call it formal,
balance, isn't it? You don't want to
get
bogged down in it being formalized and administrative, and we have this constitution and we must stick to every, you know, it's that, but also free flowing around framework. That's how I see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say a little bit of structure and then a free flow.
Yeah, I mean, the structure needs to be there, of course. You know, if you've got these aims and you want to achieve them, there does need to be structure and meetings and the boring admin side. But of course, you know, the beauty is yeah, the beauty is what comes out of it and how that develops, you know, and the more people that get involved, obviously the more that's added to that. And yeah, the more things that you can do. Where do you kind of, you know, what have you got, you know, like hopes and aims, and have you got like a vision for, like, you know, say this time next year or a few years time, kind of, have you got an idea of what you'd like it to kind of look like? Or
do you want to
you want to go first? Yeah, I'll go first.
probably the same vision.
I like the idea of building this alternative community alongside the mainstream one, and it just grows and grows and grows. And I don't feel that there has to be a major catastrophe of the other way falling, but I feel that this takes over.
Yeah,
and it's local.
we naturally usurp the old way.
I like that.
Yes.
That's the same. Really, ideally, there are so many ways things can go. I expect we've all spent a lot of time thinking about what they want for us and what they have planned, and this has to be very much about what we want, what we have planned. Yes, we know what you're up to. We've known about that for a long time. Thank you. You carry on. I'm going to be here doing this with my people.
Yes. That's what we've been saying to keep your focus on what it is you want to create. Be mindful, of course, what they're up to, but
you have to, yes, it's not ignore them. I'm not, you know, definitely not bury our heads and go,
no.
Know exactly what is, and then go, no, this.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that I think that's beautiful. And I certainly think it is, you know, create something better. And then, you know, those that sort of, you know, if any catastrophe does happen, then we're good, you know. But in the meantime, you know, it really is about creating a better world, the kind of world that we want to see. And I think, you know, we do a good enough job at that. We don't need to have a battle. We don't need to have some sort of, you know, great big showdown. It's kind of like, look what we've got. You know, this is better than what, you know, we're currently living in, and it will just attract more and more people. I think, you know, there's a much better way to live than the way that we've all been stuck living for decades, you know, then and
the hypnosis.
I think it's much more,
and it's wise to remember that this is all consent based, so we can choose what we want. We can choose the alternative, there's going to be a battle, absolutely, to try and win your consent the other way, but it's all on consent. And when we talk about things being formal and things like that, when things are based on natural law, that's a very, very, very different structure from what we've seen with the systems that are in place now, which are anything but. So there's nothing wrong with having a bit of structure. We need it. You know, a stand in the park wouldn't have survived if there wasn't some kind of structure. I mean, as and you ladies know yourself, the admin and all of that really boring stuff, it's absolutely necessary to enable everything else to flourish from it. Otherwise it would just be, you know, a bit of a mess and nothing would really come out of it. So it's great to have another blueprint, another framework that people can take and adapt to suit their needs. And like you say, it's keep it local. That's where our strength lies.
Connect very broadly, but very much focusing on what we put into our local community.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh,
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
It would be lovely, wouldn't it, to think of a future where we don't have admin and groups. It is natural law. We just live together peacefully in our little communities, and look after each other and live with compassion and love. We don't need any of those things, but we need these right now to bridge us in from the old system into this system, into the not really system, into free-flowing, compassionate, beautiful freedom community.
We will get there. It's just step by step. But if we all hold that vision, it's done already. We just have to sort of catch up with it.
I think most people, even if we disagree on certain other, and of course there will always be disagreements and frictions.
Always.
Remember that humans will have disagreements and frictions, and that's not doesn't need to be the end of the world. Doesn't need to blow everything up. The outcome. Do we agree on the outcome? Is this what we really want for our people and our freedom? And then it doesn't matter if a couple of people rub each other up the wrong way. We're all got the same.
We're human. But the most important thing is to visualize that positive future, because I think a lot of people have been very afraid on all sides of this debate.
We get targeted as much as people that are still in that bubble get targeted with be afraid of, you know, monkeypox or whatever, or climate, whatever they want to throw at them. We get targeted, be afraid of what we're going to do to you in a few years. Be afraid of the camps. Be afraid of So we have to say be aware, but not afraid.
Took the words out of my mouth.
That's
a lot.
No, I think that is very much the point. We manifest and we create and we make our own, you know, we can build our own future, and that's the very kind of ultimate point of what you're doing. And as I say, I find it very inspiring. I really appreciate you ladies coming on to talk to us. It's been wonderful to hear. Before we kind of, you know, say our goodbyes and stuff, is there anything else you'd sort of like to mention or say or anything like that?
We've kind of covered it. Just thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak, and really thanks to everyone in our community.
If we've missed naming anyone, then
lots and lots of
people. Thanks to everyone for everything that they have done to bring us together and keep us there.
All right, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you ladies, and you know, fantastic work. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for telling us about it. And we'll perhaps catch up with you in a few months' time and see how things are going. If that'll be good.
Yeah, that would be good.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.